Hello. Hopefully you can hear me and see me. It looks like my sound is on. It looks like I'm on there. I'm just going to refresh my page here so I can actually see that it's really happening for real. And let's just see who's here already. Oh, hi, Face Mother Goddess, you're here. And also Ross. Hi, Ross. And I know that Emma is here as well. And I'm just going to give it a few seconds, well, maybe a minute, because, oh, yeah, we've got a minute time. So, hi, Chandra. Hi, Chris. How are you doing? I've signed your book the other day, so that should be on the way to you because you were the lucky winner of the Making Soft Doll book, so that's great. Hi Jane, how are you? Yes, you can see and hear me. Excellent, we're in business. I hope you like my cunning decoration here to cover up the camera. It might completely annoy you being so close to you, but I thought it looks nicer than that. So, and this is also a pom-pom made from wool tops or rovings, which I will show you how to do. So the idea is everybody's probably done a pom-pom, and the idea is that you can actually make them from wool tops as well, quite easily and really, really fast, much faster than with yarn because you don't have to wrap it so often. So I will be showing you how to do that. And before I do that, I just wanted to show you, you know, we were talking about sharing happy places and I don't know, we as the makers, we've been trying really hard to share as much of our happy place as we possibly could, and there are some really exciting live streams coming up. A lot of them we've posted on YouTube already, but this is what I received in the post a couple of days ago, and it really, really made my day. And I had a really lovely card, love cats, and then I had a lovely long note, handwritten, and I had a lovely handmade gift to go with it. And I am I'm so in love with this. I'm definitely going to use this. I didn't want to show you it with something attached to it already, so I'm going to find maybe I'm going to have it like a little charm on my handbag or something like that. But this is made by Regan, so thank you so much, Regan. And I won't read you the whole card, but what she has written has really touched me a lot. So so she's sending a little bright something to say how grateful I am that you're producing and sharing your online tutorials and videos during these unsettling and isolating times. And I must say, I'm really, really appreciative of that comment because it comes from the heart, and I don't expect gratitude, but it's just nice to know that it lands with people as well. So there's lots of nice other things, and I'm going to blush if I read them all out to you. So she also apologizes for the wrong order of the rainbow. You all know me too well by now. I actually don't mind. It's just lovely because there's such nice, happy, cheerful, bright colors, and she's done this herself. So she's obviously not just talented in the needle felting area, but everywhere else as well. And if you don't know Regan, she is definitely part of, I can't remember now what the needle felting group is called up in the north of the UK, but watch out for Regan Wells anyway, there. Thank you very much again. That was such a lovely, thoughtful present. Thank you. Right, put this to one side now. How is everybody? We've got Donna here as well. Hi, Donna. I love your thumbs up for the postman. Donna, you needle felted. 2 thumbs up to go in the window for the postman. Yes, definitely thumbs up for the postman. I think we would be in big trouble if we didn't have the postman. Definitely. Hi, Emma. Are you here as the makers or just as Emma? Sue. Hi, Sue. There will be lots of other people watching. You're just not letting me know that you are, but that's okay. So let's start with needle felting onto a pom-pom. Now, if you're lucky enough and you have some of our stripy Jacob's wool tops, then you don't need to mix anything to make an owl chick or even a little hedgehog. But if you don't have that, then don't worry, you can easily make up your own stripy wool top. Believe it or not, but these little owl chicks we used to have them as a kit, and there were 3 of them. And they do look like that. I think they're short-eared owls, and that's what they look like, and they're as ugly as anything. And it just never sold as a kit. And I loved these little owls, but they are very, very weird looking and quite ugly. So if you want to make an ugly owl and give an ugly owl a home, then today is a good opportunity to do that. But you could also make it a bright, colorful creature, or you could turn it into a hedgehog as well. There you go. Right. So all you need is wool tops, and then you need good old cardboard, and then you need 2 really, really even circles, and I've got one here on that reel with strong thread, and then I've got one here underneath on my Everyone a Maker cup. We've had so many people join us over the weekend in our group Everyone a Maker. Everybody probably knows that I've been on Sunday, I've been at Create and Craft in Peterborough, and I had a really lovely time. And there were fewer people there because of the social distancing, and I was nowhere near the presenter. There was definitely the space between us that's required, but nevertheless I had a really lovely time. And so thank you for coming to join Everyone a Maker, and thank you for liking our Facebook page, the normal page on Facebook called The Makers. And if you want to tag us, the tag is actually themakers.co.uk, and we're very nearly reached 6,000 likes. So we are trying hard to get that's our challenge, to get to 6,000 before the lockdown. So you can help us do that by sharing the page, inviting your friends to like the page, and there's a little competition going on at the same time, because you could win yourself a 6-month worth of subscription of our fairy box. And this is the box for April, which we might just miss because I'm not so sure that we'll get to this before the end of the month, the 6,000 likes, but you will definitely be in for getting the Pansy fairy box, the Forget Me fairy box, and the others are all planned out, and I keep meaning to bring down a note of what they are, and I keep forgetting, so I do apologize for that. So the next thing I'm going to do is, let's get these circles cut out. I've drawn on them already upstairs, and you do need 2 to make a pom-pom. So I've got my scissors here, just making this a bit smaller. I don't know if anybody's crafting along, but if you are, then that's what you will be doing. So I've got my 2 circles here that I've drawn with pencil, and I'm going to cut them out. Basically quite simple. This is also something you can do with children. You don't have to turn these pom-poms into animals or other things. You can just have them as pom-poms. I'll show you in a minute a few samples of pom-poms that we've made, but just by trying out what you can make with it. So it's a bit boring cutting my can we get that cup? Oh yes, well Emma, it's your job to help us design a new cup. I know the cup, we had these cups and we bought them in as a special treat for Christmas, not last year but the year before, and there were literally 2 left over, and one I have been using, and I'm drinking peppermint tea today because that's soothing and calming, and also very hydrating. That's the word I was looking for. So I've got my 2 circles here, there. And now I need to put a hole in the middle, and there's a trick to doing that. First of all, I need to draw around the middle. If you want it to be quite, I'm digging into my very useful toolbox. Remember, we do sell these compartments. They have a lid. The lid is underneath here at the moment, and they come. You can also get the handle with it, which is down there on the floor, so I won't be able to reach that now. So then you put something else in the center to make a neat circle. I'll just draw that with my pencil here. And to cut the center out, you don't have to poke the needle into the cardboard. You can actually, because we're going to put a slit into the cardboard anyway. Just give it a. I'm going to go a little bit smaller so you can see less of me and more of what I'm actually doing. So I've cut a gap into here, and now I can comfortably go inside that circle. Can even cut right into the middle because I'm cutting out the middle, so it doesn't matter if I cut it in half. And I'm just literally going to cut this out. This doesn't have to be pretty. It will look a lot worse by the time you're finished with it as well. So just cut that out, and then you can do the same on the other one. So I'm going all the way and then cut the bit out. So I've got basically I have 2 donuts with a slit. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but if you can see, my hands are covered at the moment with eczema. I think that constant hand washing is finally getting to me. So oh yeah, there's not much I can do about it other than just keeping it moist and maybe change the soap in case there's one that doesn't quite agree with me. So I'm sorry if it looks a bit horrid. Right, so I've got my 2 donuts now. They need to sit on top of each other, so you can't see. And they're open, so they have a nice comfortable gap there. If you look closely, they're not even entirely the same size, but that's absolutely fine. You really don't need to be very precise. So this is my working cardboard that I'm going to wrap the wool around now. Put the rest away. So if you have got the stripy wool, then that's great. But if you don't have it, you can also use, I've got here some Texel, and I've got a nice South American brown here. That's a dyed one. This is a natural one. This is the Mangslauten, which incidentally, the Mangslauten we will be using for, thing. There's the fawn that's coming up for our makers box in May. It's quite shy and a bit timid, but really lovely. So putting her back. There you go. So if you have got the individual colors, then you can make sure that you've got similar length strands, and then you just have to take off strands like that and do that several times over. There. Keep them nice and thin. If you want to do a tri-colored one, you can do 2, putting them together. And that now is a little bit like my ready striped one. So I'm starting out with that, and then you're going to literally wrap this around your cardboard donut exactly the same way as you would do with yarn if you've done pom-poms with yarn before. Why have we got the gap? Well, the gap stops you from having to do this. Go all the way through the center and out the other side. The gap allows you to literally go continuously in and out, but just using that gap to pull the wool through, so you don't have to worry about poking the wool through the hole and threading it through. And this way you can also keep the tension nice and tight because you're not even letting go of it. Because you're using cardboard, it's kind of naturally sticky, so this doesn't actually slip off, but just leave a little gap there. That definitely helps. And then you just keep going round the whole thing as you would if you're using yarn, but obviously because you've straight away got a thicker strand there, you don't have to do this so often. And then I'll just do another collection of that. So this one is the Mangslauten, that's a natural one. Then you can do all kinds of different colorways, of course. And then this is the dyed South American merino, and this one I've just picked randomly from our workshop. This one is our Dutch Texel. They're all really lovely long fibers, and they work really well. So then you start again and just use that gap to go in and out and guide the wool through it whilst you're trying to keep the tension tight and build more layers up. So there, trying to read some of these comments at the same time. Oh, everybody loves the ugly owl chick. I'm so pleased that you do love him, because I love him too. He just looks like he needs to be loved. So I've got my donut here now. It's wrapped quite randomly. I've left the ends here so that there's definitely a gap. And I'm actually going to add another layer over the whole thing. So I'm making up another mix here with the South American brown, the Texel, and the Mangslauten. There we are. And then start anyway. It doesn't matter which direction you rub before. Just rub any old way. So I'm going through the gap. Oh, I need to go this way. Sorry. There. Got it now. So I'm going over it again. It's good to go with wraps to have them nice and neat next to each other rather than sort of almost diagonally going across. If you do that, you will just end up with really lots of uneven strands of wool, which is best to be avoided. So just adding another layer on here, and now I need a little bit less on the other side, making sure that this doesn't slip off. Just use a few thinner strands, which I may have to go around more often, but it's really quite easy to tear these off and have your mix at the ready. So I'm going to do that on this side now. You can tell it's not that tidy and neat, but it really doesn't matter. Just get the wool laid on there. There we go. And then the next bit is the nerve-wracking bit. I will give you this, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer even. You just have to keep your cool. So there's my donut all wrapped, not looking that attractive or that pretty, but that's fine. And now I'm going to have to cut this in half by putting my scissors between these two cardboard halves. Can you see? I'm putting them right in there. And I'm cutting the donut open. Nerve-wracking, because if you let go of the bits inside, they will kind of just spill out. So try and keep as much as you can your hand on there. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? Love it. So you can already see that the thinner the strands and the more layers you put on, the finer and the more mottled the look will be. So now I've got my donut here. It is so all the strands are completely loose now. They sort of hold themselves into place. And what I need next is now I need a really strong thread. And I'm going to insert this between the two donut halves. And now I've got it going through the two halves, and this is the magic knot that you put on there, which somebody told me the other day what it's called. But anyway, when you put a knot on there, you normally just have your two strands there and you go through it once. But if you go through it again a second time and then pull it tight, it holds its own tension, so it doesn't move. So if you haven't got an extra pair of hands to hold a finger on there, then you can literally put another knot over the top now, and then you've made this secure without it opening up. So I've got a pom-pom here now that's still attached to my donut, and it's quite nice to see what it looks like when you've done this. And now you're going to gently take these donut halves out. And if you do it gently, you can also tear them out. If you do it gently, you can reuse them. So these are great for the next one I want to make. And there you are. I've got my fluffy ball. It's attached at the moment. And the reason why I'm keeping it attached is because the owls, I don't know if you noticed, but they have a lighter bottom and a darker top. And so in effect, we're actually putting one donut on top of the other. But you don't have to do this. If you just have a sorry, did I say donut? I meant felt ball. If you just want to use one, then that's fine too. And I'll show you later how that would work just with one. The hedgehog has just got one, so I show you also how to do this in a minute. But in the meantime, I'm going to make another donut with my lovely brown striped Jacob's wool. And here too, I'm taking the strands, thinner strands, it works definitely better if you use thinner strands. It makes a tighter shape. And then I'm going to start by just literally going round this one. If you're really impatient, then just use thicker strands. So I'm doing another one in the same way, and I'm reusing the cardboard rings because I've been gentle with them and haven't torn them apart. So just putting layers on there faster. I've got a longer strand because I didn't have to keep them so short to mix them a little bit better. I'm going round again, and if you make it nice and tight so that the center almost fills in, then you've got I'm actually going to try using the really thick strand now. Maybe split it in half just to speed things up a bit. There. All this wool is getting into my eyes and face, making my eyes and nose itch. Right. So, oh, you've been to Texel in the Netherlands for lunch, Chandra. Of course you have. I didn't expect anything different. Did you see any sheep? Probably zillions of them on the dikes. Yeah, quite funny, that part of the world. It's not too far from where I've spent a lot of my life when I was sort of late teenager, early 20s. The countryside is very alike in the north of Germany and in that part of the Netherlands. And yeah, there's absolutely lots and lots of sheep on the dikes to keep the grass obviously short. And they serve a good job to the sea defense. There. Right, that's another layer on top of there now. And I will probably put another layer on that. There you go. There you are. By the way, I'm just thinking you're going to ask me how much of this do you actually need, and I'm just thinking that I've got the hedgehog in the book here, and I will just read it up because I didn't think to weigh the wool beforehand, but I know the hedgehog is in there, and in here it says you need 25 grams of the brown stripy wool tops and 15 grams of the caramel brown wool bats, which is basically to make the body. So 25 grams makes a top like that. So we sell our wool tops as a minimum of 50 grams, which looks like that. That's the size of a 50-gram bag. So that should allow you to make 2 fluffy balls. And obviously you can buy more and make much more, or maybe you've got the odd wool top sitting around at home and you've wondered what you're going to do with it because it's not so good for 3D needle felting. So just put another layer on top with the leftover I've got there, and wrap that around. There we go. It was recently that I was reminded of a story it's a storybook I used to read to my children, and I don't know if you know children's stories. Often, if you love the children's stories as an adult yourself, that's often because they actually don't work for children at all. They just work for adults. It was my favorite book. The children didn't like it in particular, but I always said, "Oh, shall we read this story again?" Because there was such an important lesson in it, and they're like, "Oh no, can we just read this book?" And I thought, "Oh no, this is just so boring. This book, like, so repetitive." But the book that I loved, and I don't can't quite remember what the title was, but I think it was something like "I Have No Room in My House." Does anybody know it? It's by the same author who has done the Gruffalo. And it reminded me of it recently because I can so easily link it back to the times that we're going through at the moment in lockdown. And it's this old lady who complains to the wise old man. It's all written in rhyme. It's beautifully written with very funny illustrations. And she says, "I have no space in my house. Wise old man, help me out." And so he says, "Well, take in your goat." And so she brings in the goat, and the goat does all sorts of horrible things. And it might be in a different order, but she goes back and she says, I've got no more room now after I brought my goat in. The wise old man, he says, bring in your cow. And it goes on and on and on. She complains every time she complains to the wise old man that her house is no bigger by bringing all these animals. And she ends up bringing the pig in and the chickens, and it's getting really, really on her nerves. And then she goes back, wise old man, help me. This house is not bigger. What shall I do now? And he says, take them all out. And of course, when she takes them all out, she's so happy because she's got so much space in her house. And it just made me think of the times that we're going through at the moment. We complain, or we can't, we complain about our lives, and then suddenly all of it is actually taken away from us, and all we want is we want it back in our lives. So it's kind of funny that sometimes we have to almost go through the hardship times to appreciate the good times. So hopefully you find lots of parallels in that story. I just always love it whenever I think of that story. Right, there's donut almost pom-pom number 2. And again, I'm doing this bit here now, and this is really I know this is nerve-wracking, so cutting into the pom-pom. There, I'm gonna zoom in a bit so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. So I'm cutting between the 2 donut halves into the wool, and it sort of pops open because it's under tension. And this is now the ready stripe mix, the Jacob's brown stripe one. There we are. Get all the way to the end, trying to hold on to the 2 ends of the donut here. I don't know if you were watching when I couldn't find my scissors, but I was actually sitting on them, so that's where they were. They were underneath me on the chair where I was sitting on. So there we go. That's all popped open. If you lose the odd bit because it's sticking out, don't worry, because we have to trim the pom-pom in a minute a lot anyway. And then I'm going to get my strong thread. It's definitely worth having a thread that doesn't tear. Or you might use swear words. Put that in the middle, go all the way around, put the thread through once, and again, pull it really tight, and then put straight away another knot on the top, and that should hold itself now. And then we're going to tease the pom-pom cardboards out, and with this one I've got a bit of a fluffy bit here, but I'm not to worry about it because I'm going to have to trim these into shape anyway. I just wanted to show you also that the difference between using strands side by side of different wool compared to using our space dyed wool. And I'm always in admiration of these pom-pom animals that people are making, where they know exactly which color to put where. But this is basically made with the space dyed one. So instead of the colors running side by side, they're actually running next to each other in that way. And then you get patches of wool rather than an even mix of the wool. So it's a little bit like with knitting. If you have a very busy yarn, you just get a busy pattern. But if you have long strands of the wool that is just a single color, then you get stripes or patches. So that's kind of the difference for that. And the big ball that's hanging here to hide the camera, that one there, that's our parrot wool top, which is already pre-mixed. Here you are. It comes like this. It's got all these gorgeous colors, and so it's a bit random luck what you get, but that's the ball that's hanging here, and it's amazing. I love it. So you could make lots of pom-poms, just string them up and have them decorate your room. So if you want to put these two together now, you don't need 2 sets of the of the strand that you've tied it up with. I'm just going to cut one off. And now I'm going to use some needles. I've actually got some very brutally long needles here. That you don't need to use quite as long needles as that, but they are the doll making needles. And then you have to thread the ends of that strong string into there. And now you're going to sew it together. At the moment, I'm just doing this randomly. This is going to be a ginormous chick, owl chick. There. And I'm just going back and forth a couple of times. So I'm basically putting a head onto the body, or the other way around, whichever way you want to look at it. And I'm keeping it quite tight because I've got one here where it's quite loose. Can you see? And you can actually see the gap. I mean, the only advantage is that you can wriggle the head around, but I think it looks nicer when they're really tightly sewn together. So I'm doing this a few times. I'm literally going back and forth through the body and out the other end and pulling it tight. And then once you've done this a few times, you can just cut the thread because it will hold its own shape. There you go. Cut it as close as you can to the core. And then you've got a multicolored ball like this. And you can decide which bit you want at the top, whether it's the, whichever bit. I think I might be going for the slightly browner bit at the bottom and the other bit at the top. And now this is the bit where you can practice your hair cutting skills. So if you're one of these people who desperately needs to go to the hairdresser, practice yourself on a pom-pom. How about this? Because you're going to be cutting and trimming the pom-pom into shape now. And what we're trying to do is we want to keep it nice and round everywhere, but we want to make a really flat area here where we're going to needle felt the face onto the pom-pom. And so first of all, trim all the bits of wool that are sticking out, that are bothering you. Trim those off first, and then we concentrate on the front. And I show you how to do that in a closer up. Let's just see, has anybody got... Oh, are you reading Flower Babies, Donna? Oh, that's so nice. Oh, that's really nice. So I need to just read. I mustn't read what I do normally, from reading from the bottom up, because then it makes no sense whatsoever what I'm reading. So how do you know you have enough to stop wrapping? Oh, did I answer that? Because I said 25 grams will do that sort of shape of a pom-pom. So it's a good bigger than a tennis ball type shape. I hope that answers the I think that answers that question. And what else have we got here? What else are people saying? Let's have a look. You've answered all of that. Oh, I saw these amazing birds that were photographed. Was that you? No, that wasn't you, Ross, who shared the birds on Facebook, was it? But it sounds like you can do wild photography on Texel, in Texel. And of course, yes, Chandra has been to Emden. That's not my hometown as such, because I was born in the southwest of Germany, but I have lived for many years up in the north west of Germany, and a place called Emden. And great, I think I've caught up. Oh, right. Yes, the little quirky bits make it all the more special. So if you don't want to cut them off, don't cut them off. And remember that of your own hair, all the quirky bits make it extra special. So you can't get away with that now. Okay, so let's do a bit of cutting. I'm just going to come a bit closer again. So I've got my scissors, and I am cutting them sort of a bit more even now. And I'm already now starting to look. Where does it look more maybe like a tail? So this I was going to use at the bottom, as the top bit. So I need to look for somewhere else for a tail, if there is one. But if it doesn't matter if you just sort of randomly want to cut into it. I think this to me up here looks more like it could be a face. So I'm just cutting as much as I dare into the center. I don't want to cut too far, because if I cut too far, then I'll reach the string. But now this to me looks like it could be, look, doesn't that look like a face already? And you can't even leave a little bit if you're not making the little, if you want to make an owl with little ears, then you can do that too. Just, you know, keep bits here and then the body here. And so I'm trying to cut it flat at the bottom so it can sit nice and comfortable. There. That's it. Got lots of extra wool there. If you put it out for the birds, they will take it and make their nests nice and cozy. So you don't need to waste anything. And my little owl can sit now. I've got a flat piece here that I dared cut as far as I dare. You can see it, that it's definitely slightly flatter. Can you see there now? It's a nice flat area, and then the rest I've left nice and fluffy and sticky out. So now the next thing you're going to do is you have to give your little owl a face mask. And if you ignore all the details on it, it's almost like a heart shape. So that's what I'm going to do next. And for that, I need a little bit of black wool. It's here somewhere. There. So all I'm doing now is I'm going to needle felt. I'll turn it that way around so you can see it better. I need my felting needle. And you might want to use a coarse needle for that, because you've got quite a lot of soft area that you need to needle felt into. And so you're needle felting a triangular shape. Sometimes it's best to actually pre-shape this with your hands first. So I want it to be like that. You're literally felting a little triangle onto the front of that cut part of the pom-pom that you've made nice and flat, so you can needle felt onto it, and all the other wispy bits are still sticking out and looking lovely and wispy there still. So I've covered this with, if you don't have black, then use a dark brown. You can design your own owl. It doesn't even have to be realistically looking. So I can feel now I'm getting a bit of grip here, and I need to add a little bit more black onto the side. There. And that has now prepped the area for the face, so I can add details to it. There we go. So the next thing I want to do is I want to add eyes into it, and these eyes are entirely needle felted. So I'm going to use the yellow I've got here, and I'm making round shapes. I'm pre-shaping it in my hands, and one's going to go on here. And because it's gripping quite a lot, I'm actually changing to a slightly thinner needle now, and I'm just stabbing one eye into there, trying to keep that as nice and round as possible. There we are. And then we're going to do another one, hopefully as similar as possible, on the other side. There. It's always good to work, do one eye so far, then do the other eye, because then you can compare each stage to each other, so it is as similar as you possibly can. And I'm just going to have to turn it around to make it look at myself. It's actually looking quite scary. Oh dear. Not getting any less ugly, these owls. Anyway, so there you go. It's quite a scary looking face there at the moment. And then you're going to put next, you're putting a little black patch on top of that for the iris. So again, pre-shape that in your fingers, and just make sure that it's not as big as the yellow, so you're not covering up the yellow there. And if you want to give your owl an expression, then instead of just putting it bang on in the middle, you could put the black slightly higher so the owl is looking up. Either way, whatever takes your fancy. You can have a little play, make lots of them and give them all different expressions. And then I'm making the same on the other side, stabbing that into the yellow. And then I'm going to give it a tiny little reflection point, and I'm actually teasing out a bit of the white from the leftover wool because that will absolutely work fine. Stuffing that in there. It's actually quite a really, really short fiber, so I might have to use a... No, it's just disappearing. Okay, don't use the cut-off bits. Use a bit of proper white. That's what we've learned from that. In fact, I'm going to use a little bit of... this is just to put the reflection point into the eye. I might just have to make the eye a bit bigger again because I've just made it a lot smaller. There. You can see sometimes you try these things and then you just realize actually I've got to do something else. And then just put a tiny little reflection point into the eyes. There. And then do the same on the other eye. Don't know, can you see? One with and one without. There. And then to give the owls sort of almost like a bit of a dopey look, you can use a little bit of your wool that you've used for wrapping and make some eyelids. So I'm just pre-shaping this into a small sort of sausage, and I just put that on the top, and so it's a little bit like a hooded eyelid, as if the owl is about to fall asleep. And I need to turn this around to see what I'm doing. That needs a little bit more. I'll keep coming back to wanting to use the wool bats. So if you've got just a wisp of brown for that, that definitely works better. I just love wool bats for sculpting and shaping. So just putting that over the eye to give an impression of an eye lid. And then I do the same on the other side. Sorry, you're going to have to see this upside down now. There. So you've made the eyes. There you are, looking quite scary. If you want to make a little bit more, I've just found a needle end stuck in here. How the heck did that get in there? If you want to keep the eyes nice and shiny and yellow, you can always add a little bit more yellow to the outside to brighten them up again, if you want to. So that's the great thing about needle felting, is that you can always adjust things and change things around. There you go. It puts a bit more sparkle in there. And now you've got to give it a beak. Now to make the beak, you actually make two. I don't know if you can see that. It's got two separate shapes, and then on the inside you put a bit of bright pink for its tongue. So for that, you're felting a separate shape onto your felting mat. Just get a different needle that's not so coarse. That one. So just pre-shape a triangle in your fingers, and you just literally shaping that as you're stabbing it. And you need a smaller one and a larger triangle. So you've got a bigger one for the top of the beak, and then a smaller one for the base. Just felt that flat on your felting mat. I'm using our earth-friendly felting mat here, if anybody's wondering what that is, in case somebody is watching new who's never seen me before. Not entirely sure. And then you remember to peel this off and stab that from the other side as well. Going for a slightly fatter needle here to speed things up a bit. So I'm sculpting this on the mat by stabbing it into the right place where it needs to be. There. And then you're making another one very similar to that, but slightly smaller. That's it. take another wisp of wool and make a slightly smaller triangle. Remember to lift it off your mat so it doesn't get stuck on it. Yeah. And once you've done the second set of triangle, you can then attach both of them to the shape just at the very end. There's my shape. It's a bit like black on black, but this is the bottom one, and as soon as I'm felting it on, it kind of sort of lifts off and sticks out, which is exactly what I want. So I've got this sticking out now. There, can you see? It's sticking out there. And then I'm going to put the other one on top. So they meet in the middle. And again, as soon as I start stubbing, it kind of starts sticking out. And then to get that effect of it looking as if it's chirping, it is best to put a little bit of pink inside, because then you can see it's two beaks there. And there you go. There is your ugly little owl. You can give them little features in the face, so like little saggy eyes. You can do that too. And it is actually, this one is probably the ugliest I've ever made, but there it's got a little bit of pink inside the mouth. It's hard to see with it being black. But that's basically it. Can join the others now, sitting here together side by side. Another little ugly owl chick has just been born there. So a lot is in the eyes, make them nice and big, and then that should be the easiest way to do it. So if I make another pom-pom now quickly with the stripy Jacobs, I can probably have enough time to make a hedgehog and show you that as well. So I'm not splitting this wool at all at the moment. I'm just leaving it as it is. Speeding things up, and there's just about enough wool to make another one, another pom-pom. Yeah, going a bit faster now. Even though the pom-pom, the donut cardboard isn't exactly lined up at the moment, that's fine. I'm just speeding this up a little bit. I could actually do with a bit more, but I haven't got any more, so that's fine. We'll work with what we've got. So I've got my pom-pom here. It's a bit fatter on this side than on this side, but that's okay. And I'm cutting it open. Everything that we've done before, I'm gonna repeat now. Making sure that this doesn't slip off the end of the cardboard. The more you put on it, the more stable it is when you're cutting it open, because it sort of holds itself together because it's so squished and stuffed. So it does work putting lots of layers on there, but of course that will also mean you're using up more wool, which you might not want to. Right, so there's my split. Put some strong thread around it. Making the pom-poms is just so quick, so much quicker than making them with yarn. And for this one, I don't actually need to keep I can cut my thread straight away, because I'm only making one shape. There you go. Cut this off, nice and close to the body. Take my card out. I've actually cut into it, so I think it's reaching the end of its life. And I've got a nice round shape here. And as with the owl, I'm now having to cut it so that it becomes, it's round on one side, but nice and flat on the other side. And so I'm deciding where is it best to cut it. Again, just take the scissors to it, go for it. Don't hesitate, just cut into it. And I'm cutting all the base really nice and short, as far as I dare to get to the center before the pom-pom literally being destroyed. So what I've got here now is kind of a hedgehog that's it's not, the body's not there yet, and now you can work on the body, and this is the underneath, so it's nice and flat, and the top is nice and round, and you can trim some of these bits off later as well if you want to keep it nice and even so it looks spiky. And then you needle felt the body onto it. I'm just gonna pick up this book so you can see in pictures what I'm about to do. So you can see here I've done exactly what is in the book. I've made the round shape, and then you're making a separate body shape here, and then you start adding it to the pom-pom at the end. So I'm going to give that a go now. Have any, whatever wool you've got to hand. I've got some Portuguese merino here, but if you've got the Russian caracol, that's great too. You roll this into a basic shape. There's so much on basic shaping, so I'm just trying to find if I've got some other bits that I can use in a minute. There's a bit more. Roll it into a basic shape, ideally into an oblong basic shape. Give it a few stabs to secure the shape so it doesn't pop open, and then work on the shaping. So for hedgehogs we need to have quite a pointy snout. I'm making that as pointy as I can. I'm using a medium needle here, but actually what I ideally would want, let's try this one. Oh, this is better. That's also medium one, but it's our, so there's different types of needles, and the most useful and most common used needle is probably the 38 triangular needle. That's our red needles, and they're sort of a good all-rounder. They go greatly into most of our multi-tools. It's probably, well, it's definitely one of our most popular needles, and of course we also love our twisted needles. So I'm making him a little pointy snout here, felting this down, and a rounder back there. And before I go into much detail, I will just show you then attach the body to the top of the underneath the pom-pom. So it pays off to keep fitting it as you're felting it, because you want it to be too round, because you're actually putting two shapes on top of each other rather than having sort of a round cover on top of a round body. So it's not like it won't fit into it. You have to make it flat enough so that it looks fine being attached to it. Can you see? If you do like hedgehogs, I will just show you this. We do our hedgehogs. We do 3 different sizes. They come as packs like that. They haven't got tools in them. It's one of our best-selling products. You can make this pack here makes that hedgehog, and you get in there the special mohair fabric, which you can shape to. This is different from the pom-pom in that you do make this into a hollow shape so that the whole body can fit inside. You also get the eyes in there, and I was desperately trying to find the other sizes, and Sophie suggested, well, just say this is the small one, this is the medium one, and this is the large one. So yeah, they do come in 3 different sizes, but I couldn't find the other sizes. Oink oink. So yeah, small, medium, large. Okay, just to give you an idea, they do have much larger lengths of this mohair fabric as well. I'll show you what it looks like. Take it out there. And when we cut this fabric, it always looks like we've been slaughtering hedgehogs, but I can promise you no hedgehog has been harmed. However, we did once have somebody contact us, and she said, my husband told me that you have to kill the hedgehog to get this fabric. And well, what can I say? I had a little giggle, and then I sat on it for 10 minutes before I was too tempted to come back with a very smart answer. And I just replied and I said, I think your husband is having you on. So I thought that was a very grown-up reply. Now I'm just felting the body straight into the pom-pom, and then I'm going to give the hedgehog more details. I'm really going for this because I need it to be snug to the body and not looking like I've just attached spikes or a round ball of spikes onto the hedgehog. So I am flattening this hedgehog down quite a bit. You don't want to have it too solidly felted to start with, because it does need to be attached to the pom-pom. So keep it nice and soft, and I'm going all the way through. I'm even going all the way through into the felting mat to make this a nice neat fit. And you can see there that works quite well, having him attached to it. And then you can pull some of these prickles out again that have been flattened in the process, but I think it's definitely worth going for it by stabbing as much as you can into the pom-pom and going all the way around it. And then you just put little legs on him if you wanted to. This one is actually a really simple one, has got no legs, just a couple of ears, and then obviously a nose and eyes. But you don't, so this is a really easy project if you wanted to make a very quick hedgehog. Why not make a rainbow hedgehog with lots of, with the rainbow spikes of the parrot wool. And then also I was going to show you that this pom-pom technique you can also use to make tails, like you probably, if you've made the squirrels either when they were Maker's Box or from our kit, then you will have learned how to make a pom-pom tail that's actually long. But don't despair if you haven't made the kit, because you could either still make it. There's actually two in a kit, two different color of the red squirrels there, and they were designed by Sophie because Fiona Lunn, who self-funded this book in celebration of the centenary of the Woodland Trust, is bringing out a series of educational but also fun story books, and this one is the first one, called The Squirrel. And there are the squirrels that are represented by the needle felted ones are actually in there, and there's beautiful illustrations. So if you're interested in getting the book, I don't even think that she takes any money from this. I think she didn't donate things back. So definitely a lovely book. It's called The Squirrel by Fiona C. Lunn, and she's a lecturer at Oxford University, and I think she is also known as Lunn Learning, L-U-N-N Learning. So definitely a lovely book to get. And if you want to make lots of colourful tails, now where did I put them? Oh, they're here somewhere. Took me ages to find them upstairs, and then when I did find them, oh, they're here. No, I can't find them downstairs. There's a whole variety of tails that I've made just to have a little play. So you can make foxtails like this. This one actually has got a wire in it, so it's posable. This is the same way as the squirrel tail has been made, and it does involve a cardboard, but it's a long strip of cardboard, and you wrap the wool top around it. We do have a free tutorial on our website for making pom-pom tails. This one is a floppy tail. It has got no wire in it, but it's quite fun to make. That's actually the Mangslauten. There's another one with wire. You can still see the wire there, so it does shape. This one is just a fun one. It's got no wire in it, just lots of colors, quite fun to make. And then this is just one to show how you could do stripes. Could be like a cat tail or something like that. So they're quite easy to make. If anybody has any questions about this right now, I'm happy to order these, explain, to answer these. And sorry, this is what happens when so basically somebody's asking if we sell this extra strong thread, and yes, the answer is yes, but we haven't got it listed yet. It's one of my things to do with the doll making, because it is an amazing thread. We buy it in these ginormous rolls. This is like 5 times bigger than that, and it feels like cotton, but it's actually not cotton. It is a man-made fiber, but it's impossible to tear. And it's really great if you really want to rely on an extra strong thread that doesn't tear and it's nice and thin. So I will try and make an effort to list this as one of the next things and announce it when it's ready to purchase online. It's gonna be dirt cheap, but we also for us the thing is to wrap it on a piece of card. So we haven't quite the packaging worked out yet. So what else is going on here? Yes, you think that's also funny about the hedgehog being close and far. Hedgehog packs. Thank you, Emma, for doing all of that. Which book do you love, Faith Mother Goddess? Let us know. Oh, you love the squirrel book. Oh, so you've actually read it. Oh, great. Oh, that's nice to know. So I don't know what else is there that you might need to know. I've got a whole mess of tops here. The parrot wool top is featured this next month as our special sample that you get in our boxes when you, oh yeah, I know what I've forgotten. So there is somewhere under here. Oh, am I sitting on it? Come on, where are you now? Sorry. I'll try and have it. Oh, it's here. It's under my toolbox. If you want to make a multiple of pom-poms, this is all made with, and I think they're just so lovely and soft. If you want to make a multiple of pom-poms, these are made from our extra fine Australian merino top. And you can use, we see them at shows lots of times, the multi-pom maker. And it allows you, and this ginormous one has been made with this one as well, but you can also make lots and lots of small ones. And it's a really simple principle in that you have a wire frame in there, and you wrap. It tells you exactly how to do it. I have no idea whether they are selling online at the moment or what's going on with these guys. But they're lovely. People who have designed these. You just get a wire frame. Okay, this is just fluff down my throat. I'm gonna have a drink. Nothing. Oh my god, there's lots of fluff in there as well. Anyway, it's all down in my stomach now. And you can make lots of pom-poms using this pom-pom maker all in one go. And it works really well with a tells you exactly how to do it. So if you make lots of them, you can tie them off, or if you make just one big one, then you do it differently. But basically that's a great way of making pom-poms quick. You don't need to cut your cardboard. Yeah, we tried it out with the wool tops, and whenever we go to shows, they're often there as well. And oop, that doesn't come with it. So maybe have a look at they're just called multipom.com. So it's quite an easy name to remember. There you go. Have it really close up now. So from 1 centimeter to 12 centimeter diameter, and you can make some nice decorations, or just make lots of hedgehogs, whichever way, or ugly owls. Any of it will do. And so that's basically it from me. There's lots coming up this week, which I can't even remember what that is. I'm sure Emma will be helpful with that. Become one with the fluff here. Oh god, I eat so much fluff every day and breathe it in. We all do this. Oh, you have used the pom-pom maker, Donna. That's amazing. Oh, it's good to know that. And Chris, you've got a multi-pom. They're great, and the pom-poms are really full and fluffy. There you go. You've got it from the experts, and I can second that. I love these. We've made this from the multi-pom as well, and the other one, wherever that has gone now, there. So these two have been made with a multi-pom as well. And then you don't have to worry about cutting the cardboard out, and you can just make as many as you want in one go. Well, not quite as many, but quite a few. So, hi Deb, I didn't know you were there, but you think that you're about 90% fluff. Well, I think I'm the same. So thank you very much, everybody. Faith Mother Goddess says, thank you ever so much, Steffi. It's been lovely watching and learning with you as always. Dragon tomorrow. Oh, Emma, I think, what is tomorrow? I don't know. Can you double check that? Because Rose is on Friday, Dragon tomorrow. So I've got one tomorrow and on Friday. Yeah, I know I had to change today from yesterday because I've been working all weekend and I needed to be at home to finish off the phone. So remember, our subscription boxes for the Fox are going on all of this month until the very end of April. And then from the 1st of May, you get the phone with, and in the box, I can say it now, you'll get this lovely real lichen, reindeer lichen. So you can have a nice cozy bed for your phone. And then the pansy fairy is the next one in the next month's subscription box, and then the surprise box I think is going to be sweet shop, so you get lots of interesting fibers in there that will be maybe even too tempting to not eat, but yeah, we don't recommend you eat the fibers. Anyway, so let's have a good rest of the day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye. Very nearly said cheerio, but I won't because apparently it's stupid. Take care, everybody. Bye.